Yeah, lovely. Hey, Christian. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. It's good to see you. Good to see you again. Now we've got it all the holiday season out the way. Just a quick one to say hello to you in the chat too. You'll have seen Fizz already there. Helping away. Fizz Bradley, you can see her little spanner next to her name, the blue text. She's chatting away with you, keeping you all in the chat whilst I present to you watching too, because not everyone who watches live wants to get involved in the chat comments. So we try and do two shows. Me presenting to you with the odd look in at the chat, seeing what's going on, question and answer or something, and then Fizz talking with everyone in the comments for those people who like to comment and chat at the same time. So that's a bit about the YouTube comments. But otherwise, if you're sat there watching, like some of you have said, hot cup of tea, Holly, coffee, shawl and me, that's lovely because it's Sunday evening. What else do we do on a Sunday evening? There's nothing else on telly, and that's the beauty of YouTube. I know many of you in the chat often use YouTube. You can get the content you want, can't you? If you like a certain topic, you're more than likely going to be able to find it on YouTube rather than normal telly. So welcome to those who are watching on YouTube. I can see many there: Lois, Margaret, Susan, Christian, Rob, loads of you in the chat. But if you're sat there watching on YouTube, hello, all right. Are you happy now that all Christmas is gone? Well, I've had Christmas gone and I've had my birthday gone as well. I turned another year older, getting very close to that half century. But I don't really do birthdays, but I had a nice time anyway. So I've got Christmas and birthday out the way. So I'm just ready for the year with you. Shop, knitting, crochet, and whatnot. Goals. We're going to be talking about goals soon. Let's go into the running order so you can see what's coming up on the show. There we have our New Year goals. Have you planned any? Have you? People prefer goals than resolutions. What you're aiming for doesn't matter how long you take to aim for it. You can take a whole year. So we're going to talk about goals. We're going to be talking about felted tweed too. Yes. I'm in a felted tweed tank. You're going to see more of that in detail with a little video coming up. And then we're going to be talking about it with some swatches that I've got here. And sort of just going into more depth about the yarn. So if you're a knitting fan, that will be a good one. As always, we've got Guess the Year. And we've got Pantone Colour of the Year too, 2023. Do you know what it is? If you don't, stay tuned for that. And always we have the gallery jam-packed full loads and loads of your finished objects. If you've not seen the gallery before, if you're new to the channel and to the Woolpatch show, people who do their finished objects, they hashtag it on Instagram, or they email me, or they DM me, and then we put it into the gallery. Can you remember the gallery back ages ago with Tony Hart on BBC One? Heartbeats in the 80s. I loved it. And he had this little section where you would send in your pictures as a kid, and then he would show them off. Well, that's exactly what we're doing here. You send in your pictures of your finished makes, and we show them off. You inspire everyone with your finished makes. Someone might be sat watching the gallery and go, oh, that's nice, I want to do that. And then the beauty of Fizz in the comments is she puts all the links in. So if there was something there that inspired you, maybe that's becomes a new goal for 2023. You can click on the link and go and find it. So that's the beauty of the gallery. And I know I can see some names here already. Julie, your make's in there. James, you've got some makes in there. There are people who just never stop. my knitting or crocheting takes a lot longer, but there are people out here who boom, smash it out. So stay tuned for the gallery, always around 8:30. Guest the year, 8:15, gallery at 8:30. And then we have another chat about our goals. Then this new feature that I've just started to do, the top 10 knitting patterns as of today on Ravelry, and the top 10 crochet. We'll get to see that. They're about a minute long, so that might be inspiring too. And then I'm going to show you my make that I've started over Christmas. It is my crochet history of trees shawl, and then I'm going to be talking to you about a crochet along. I'm starting a crochet along in March, and you might want to join in if that's your thing. So loads coming up. But as always on the Woolpatch show, we start off with a finished make. I tend to be wearing something knitted or sewn. It could be sewn by me, it could be knitted by someone else. Tends to be Colin or Irene because I'm a bit slow. So let's go into it then. Here I'm going to show you in detail this lovely tank top in Rowan Felted Tweed. By day and by night. That was. There are so many different ways you can wear these tops. Tank top, I used to call them. The current trend is a slip over. Put in the chat what you call it. I can see there actually fibre hustle. Yes, vest top. We all call them different things, probably depends on where you are. For me, it's a good old tank top, but currently, commercially, what people are wanting, what specifically ladies as well, are asking. They're coming into my shop and asking for a slip over. And certain ladies are asking for a slip over because they want to be warm when they're going out, but they don't want then the bulk of the sleeve when they've got their coat on. And another garment similar to that, which you might know about, I don't know whether companies show them off well. Colin taught me this, that it's a top called the sham, because it's a sham jumper, and it tends to be a roll neck with like a bib coming down, just enough so when you wear your coat, you've got a warm neck, you don't get cold down the back, but you don't have any of that excess baggage of sleeves or jumper. But yes, the knitted slip over is the thing at the moment. So of course I had to have one. I wanted one, and I've chosen this one. This is in ginger of Felted Tweed. Felted Tweed is a wonderful range. If you've used it, I think you'll know how nice a yarn it is. It is a double knit weight yarn. Now, some people will argue about that. Rowan won't actually call it a double knit. They just put on the ball band 3 3/4 mil needles to 4 mil needles. We're going to be talking about that shortly because I've got some swatches here. But it's a lovely yarn. And I think the reason why it does so well is because you know, like The Apprentice, when Lord Sugar often says, I want, or the companies will say, I want full exclusivity on your product. It seems to me that Felted Tweed and Rowan had full exclusivity on this yarn, because for the last 5 years, I've not seen anything like it anywhere else. It is a merino, alpaca and viscose make, and with a very, very slight tweed, tiny little nep sitting there. But I haven't seen it across other commercial companies. And in my time in my little shop, my little yarn and fabric shop in Long Melford, Suffolk, UK, I have found certain brands will release a yarn and then you'll see another brand with similar colours or even the same colours, because it obviously comes out of a factory. Most yarns will come out of factories in Turkey or Italy. And obviously once a company in that a factory has made that colourway, then other companies may buy that. But it seems to me that Rowan had full exclusivity. Now, you might be saying, oh, I've seen something similar recently. Yes, you're right. It's almost like that exclusivity maybe was for 10 years and is stopped, because Drops have just released one very, very similar called Soft Tweed with exactly the same makeup. But for the moment, Rowan Felted Tweed still rules the roost. It's just a wonderful material. You can see it. A very, very subtle tweed. And it does really well in my shop. Now, some of you have said, oh, we'd like to see more of the shop in your shows. Well, when I used to do these back 2 years ago with the lovely Anya, when we used to sit next to each other, we used to record in the shop. But since going to live and needing the technology, I'm now at home in, well, it used to be the study. The other half got chucked out and it's now my studio. It was turning into a studio. So I filmed from home. And a couple of people have been in the comments, we'd love to see more of your shop. We'd love to see more of your shop. Obviously, this whole vlog is about my shop. So I'm going to now go to a little pre-recorded sequence of me in the shop and going into detail about Felted Tweed. But before we do, just a little sort of a fun quiz. It's in the style of a very old 80s, maybe even 70s children's program. It's got a feel to it, because when I was filming it, it brought back all the memories of this lovely kids cartoon. See if you can get it. There's a couple of little hints in there halfway through. And when we come back and we start talking about the swatches, if you're at home, shout it out, okay? If you're in the comments, write down the kids program that you think it is, all right? Take a look at this. So we're looking at the felted tweed column on the wool wall. Here it is, felted tweed, and I keep it on a kitchen roll holder. Partly because when I used to have them in these little IKEA Kallax like this, because they were so small, you would get two on top of each other, but you'd then have another colour in between and they'd all fall over and it would end up looking messy, and I'd spend so much time trying to straighten it up. And I thought, you know what, we actually don't need to do this. We only need one colour out of each shade so the customer can see the colours and feel it, and you can then have them in a beautiful colour wheel on the kitchen roll. So I do. So you've got the greens, the reds, the pinks and the blues. And then also in the column I have the shade card handy if they need to see other colours. Sometimes I don't stock all colours because my wool wall is just too small. I need a bigger shop. So if the colour isn't there, they can look through here and then choose their colour, and I can order it for them too. Then further down we have some samples so you can see. Oh, another slip over, just like what you're wearing, Stuart. Here we go. This is a really old classic pattern from James C. Brett. And then this one, an all-time favourite by Georgia Farrell, the Alderman. Beautiful felted tweed, simple basket stitch. You can see your stocking stitch for 3, is it 3? 1, 2, 3, and then garter stitch for 3, those lovely little squares. Then you have 2 colours, 2 simple stripes going across, and we've got chocolate brown and navy blue. Beautiful pattern. But what's good about having garments knitted up is you can feel it, can't you? You can give it a good squish and feel if it's going to itch or irritate on the skin. I know some people have different preferences with regard to wool. And there we are. So the felted tweed section in my shop. Look at that. If you're a purple fan, and pinks. A lot of them are new colours as well by K Facet. He's injected in some oomph into the felted tweed range. Look at this one, sulphur. Now that looks green on your screen, but it's very much yellow. There's the green, that's the lime. Oh, look at that. And it has made a wonderful addition to the felted tweed family, as is Barbara. Where's Barbara? Barbara's gone. That's what they call it, the colour. A beautiful, strong pink. Oh, and funny enough, he also put in a black. Didn't have a black in the range. And not that many people like knitting with black. I think that pack, well, as you well know, a couple of videos ago, I was showing off my garment that Irene did for me, the Pure Mesh top by James N. Watts. And it used like 2 balls of black, and I've still got 8 sat out the back. Been sat there for months, if not years. There we are. So the felted tweed range at the Woolpatch in that section. Back to you, Stuart. Oh, well. Yes, one person got it right. The chat in there. It was Mr. Ben. Excuse me. Yes, can you remember it? It would start off in the spinning wheel of what he was going to, when he walked into that costume shop, what costume would he put in, and he'd go into the changing room, but he wouldn't come back out the changing room. There would be a different door, and that different door he walked through would be the world whatever costume he was wearing. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, James. So, felted tweed. There you are. You saw it in my shop. Thanks for the lovely comments about the shop. It is wonderful, and I love it, and I love being in there. And the felted tweed is really popular. And let's go to, if this works, this should do. Here we go. The swatches, because a lot of people are worried that it's not a double knit, because when you get a pattern and it says double knit, you want a double knit yarn. And as we know, some yarns can be thick and some yarns can be thin. One company's double knits could be another company's large 4-ply, if you get me. So they put 3 3/4 mil to 4 mil. And I just wanted to try and demystify that for you, because actually there's not much difference. This swatch here is knitted by me on 3 3/4, okay, and that's, you can see there, that's what it says on the ball band: 3 3/4 to 4, or 5 to 6 US, or 9 to 8 old UK before we went metric. So I've done the usual swatch. Hands up if you swatch. I can see no hands going up. Oh no, actually there's one at the back. Let's get our little handy thing here where we can count, and let's just see. So the ball band says the tension should be 22 to 24 stitches. Now you can kind of guess that if you're using a 4 mil, you're probably going to be to the 22 stitches. And 3 3/4, well, that's a thinner yarn, so you can get more yarn around the needle, so you can have more stitches. So we're kind of looking at 24, yeah? So here's our swatch there, and we're going to do a little count as best we can. I'm going to be down at the bottom here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24. Spot on. Okay, but let's take in the 4 mil sample, which I didn't knit. Pam Tuesday knitted this for me, because I got a bit of a, like, oh, this shop was so busy, Pam, could you do me a favour? So she knitted this up, which kind of, perhaps if you were doing a proper science trial, now throws it out the window. But let's count again. So this is now on 4 mil. So we're probably looking at, what, 22 stitches, but you watch, because I've obviously already counted this. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24. Row wise, maybe 30. Should we count up? It's great telly, isn't it? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30. So now, obviously I know many people knit differently. Some people are tighter, some people are looser. That's why you kind of need to gauge, really. But when you look at that, there isn't really then much difference. My swatch being much larger than Pam's. Pam, clearly a proper knitting pro and knows how to do it. If you haven't swatched before, it's just good practice to do your garter stitch around the edges, because you don't want to be battling with it and curling it. You also want it to be blocked too. So then your stitches are in the finished state, that relaxed state. So you can see there on the 4 mil needle, it's just as floppy as 3 3/4. So don't be frightened of, where's my little thingy here? Press my button. So don't be frightened of actually using felted tweed for a double knit. Okay, and I've bought some here, so you can see they are just beautiful colours. Really, really nice colours, and you can see those little neps there in it. So if you've not used it before, go for it. because of that, say you can adapt and look at your patterns. So go for a double knit, a box down and double knit, and don't be worried about that. And these are really handy if you haven't done a gauge swatch. Some of you going, what's that? Never seen that before, because you've never swatched. Oh, and the pattern book. And let me just quickly tell you the pattern. I'm probably like 10 minutes over time. It's shocking. See what we'll have to dump. This pattern book here, back to push my button on this new machine I've got. Rowan have kind of changing what they do. Rather than buying a large pattern book with 30 odd patterns, they're producing these smaller pattern books, much thinner, with 4 patterns in. And then you can see, look, there's what we did. Now, the only thing I would say is Rowan does notoriously knit up large, has lots of ease in it. I have since learned, and the ladies at the shop have learned, to go down a couple of sizes. I am wearing, would you believe, that second size. However, Irene has, for me, let's just go back to there, Irene has lengthened it. So this is slightly modified for my longer body. But other than that, it is as pattern. But buying a pattern book for £2 is way more affordable than a huge pattern book of 20 patterns with every different yarn. For me, you can't stock all those yarns. So if a customer comes in and looks at it and says, I want that one, I have to say, oh, sorry, I don't have that yarn. So this is much more ideal. So hopefully there's 4 patterns in there, or at least one pattern that you like, because most single patterns are about £3.50, aren't they? So for 4 patterns for £2, it's, you know, no-brainer, as it were. So there we are. That's the Felted Tweed tank top, knitted by the wonderful Irene. I love it. Really do like it. Right, let's go on. You ready for a bit of fun? Get ready to shout out the year. We're going to go into guess the year. You're going to see a pattern, and then we're going to have a minute for you at home to shout it out before locking in. Or if you're in the chat, you've got to get writing the year in of what you think this pattern is. Here we go. Christopher Biggins in knitwear. What a sight to start the new year. He's probably putting his feet up after all the panto that he's done, because he's normally the quintessential pantomime dame. Here we go then. So you've got 1 minute to put in the chat or to shout at home what do you think the year is. So I'm going to start the timer now and put the music on. Here we go. Let's see them coming in. What we got. Valerie, 1972. Oh, let's not put it over Biggins' frog or toad. There we go. 1995 from Holly. 1975. 80s now. 83. We're getting 80s now. We've gone 70s to 80s. 10 seconds left. We'll try and get in as many as we can. Okay. Time up. The answer is, are you ready for Guess the Year with Christopher Biggins? 1985. A quick look. I'm scrolling through on the comments. Oh, I can't see an 85, but Christian 83, Rob 84, James 83, oh, Wendy 84, Mrs. BD 84. There we are. Marvellous. It's, yes, classic 80s, really. At the height, I'm surprised there's not any mohair there. But yes, it's a company which I found out. And good old Fizz will put in the comments. Giles and George, and some of you might have even seen, have I got it here or not? No, I haven't got it here. There's a picture, a very famous picture of Princess Diana wearing, I think she was pushing the boys on the swing, and it's got "I'm a luxury" on the front, and then dot, 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 and then on the back it says "few can afford." You can buy this knitwear. These patterns are all done by this British company called Giles and George. And for those who are in the UK, you'll know the Giles. Giles Brandreth. He's been on telly chats. He's in with the royals and commentating, but he's well renowned for his knitwear jumpers. And this company produced loads and got lots of actors in or showbiz stars in the 80s to do some modelling. Right, wonderful. Well done if you got the year right. At home, if you're shouting at home, high 10. If not, better luck next time. Are you ready for the colour of the year? Here we go. Ooh, colour change. I feel like, what was it, Terry Wogan during Children in Need, when he'd come out with a different suit on and Sue would come out with a different dress on halfway through. Yes, Pantone's colour of the year, Viva Magenta. And there are some fascinating stories about magenta, which I didn't know. Fizz in the comments is going to drop some amazing links of two videos I found on YouTube. One by the Royal Institution, which they're fabulous anyway with all their videos, but another one where they explain about magenta. Now, Viva Magenta, Pantone's colour, isn't a true magenta, because it's got slight bits of red in it, as you can see there, reddy pink. And they say, what I found interesting was they say it's like a berry red. But there are different tones of red coming through and pink coming through. They say it's empowering, but not aggressive. And I think that's right. Even from that there, you can see it's got some welly and some beef to it, but it's not, in your face, overpowering. They also say brave and fearless. So pinky, reddy, magenta-y, Viva Magenta. Let us know in the comments if you like that colour. If you're a fabric quilter, shout out in the comments if you like that colour and you would use that colour. Have you used this colour before in that sort of pinky red range? Or is it a colour that you stay clear of? What about you knitters at home? If you saw that on the shelf, would you go for it? The current trend for me in the shop is teal. Teal, you put teal on the shelf in a ball of wool or in fabric, flies out of the window. Teal, peacock, petrol, all those colours in and around the blue-green area. So I'm not too sure about this colour on how it would do. I think in the fabric world, it would look wonderful. If you're a fan of Moda grunge, I think this is going to look lovely, because Viva Magenta from Pantone is not magenta-y and it's not red, it's that sort of in between. And grunge has 4 or 5 colours in every colourway. So I think that will look stunning. But one thing that I know people have been thinking about is like, what colour would go with it? So let's just do this and see if I can share my screen and show you this cool little program. So there's magenta. If you're a computer fan and you want to do some design work, that's the hex code there. BE3455 will give you that magenta color. And you can see on this color wheel, there's true magenta. And then we go to red. And if you watch those videos, you'll find out that magenta, it's fascinating, isn't a colour on something to do with the visible, the spectrum. But it comes a colour when you turn it round into a circle like that. And it's amazing about how the colour is made in our brain because of our 3 receptors of blue, yellow and red, was it? I can't remember. It's fascinating. Watch the videos. So let's go back to our hex. So what was that? BE3 3, 4, 5, 5. And if we're doing a quilt project or a knitting project and you want a cool, maybe a welt or something, then this is why I love this program. It's just a free on the internet, and I often use it when customers come in and they want colours to go with a quilt project, and this will be the first app I turn to. So let's look at the colours either side of Viva Magenta. Now, what do you think about that? Now, if I'm not wrong, I think I remember the dear Queen, who we sadly lost last year, wearing a couple of dresses that had that sort of reddishy purple. Does it clash? Does it go? And looking amazing in it. So they're complementary either side. And then let's look at the opposites. This is the one I like. Yeah, look at that. That's that. It's that lime, isn't it, again? And that sulphur. So how about that in the quilt? I know many of you in the comments have come from our little quilt-along group. We've got a new quilt-along group starting up. We're doing Tula Pink City Sampler, all these modern blocks from her cool book. So are we going to have some of those colours in there? Shout out if you are. And then these ones, the 4 colours, using similar. So maybe that's what we'll see coming through in the fabric world. Let's just come back to me again. So let's do that, and let's do that. Will we start seeing? Now, the trouble is, fabric world is often 6 months in advance. So I haven't seen anything magenta-wise coming through. Wool world, they're still in teals. They're still in teals, and then perhaps still like stone. Almost like a beige. Some companies will call it champagne, and it's a very neutral. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right, 10 minutes overdue. We set our bar date 22. It's time to sit back, chill, get your cup of tea. Maybe stop chatting in the comments. Fizz is going to put all the links in the comments, and just enjoy seeing the work of these people and their finished objects in the gallery. if you are posting a picture of your finished object on Instagram, if you could just add our hashtag, the Woolpatch, to your list of hashtags, I could just add us to the bottom. That would be great, and I can find it. If not, as I say, you can email me to the address below, or you can DM me on Instagram, and I can add it to the next gallery. It will be lovely to see. Blown away. Yeah. Amazing. And what's so good about the gallery is it's about the finished work. You know, as adults, we often do this. I can remember my teaching days. You're there to praise the kids because we know what praise does. It motivates us to do even more. Yet for some reason as adults, we do feel bad about blowing our own trumpet. Well, not here, we don't. If you have a finished object, you can email it to me. All that info Fizz can put in, or it's on my website. You can Instagram it. If you are in Instagram, you can hashtag it. So I know some people just don't want to say too much. Well, then just discreetly put our hashtag in. And then when I go through and compile the gallery, I can find it and see it. It's just, we have to celebrate the amazing work of what these things and our brain and everything can make. It is such a skill. Hand knitting, crocheting, sewing, dressmaking. It's that couturier work at its best, and it's just lovely to celebrate that. Whether that's a simple scarf that for others it may be simple, but for that person, do you know what? That took an awful lot of time. It's about the end product. So there were so many lovely things there. Too many to name, but I will just do 2 shout outs to TJ and his finished quilt. Fabulous at the fair there, unbelievable, 3rd prize. And Jill at the end there with her twists and turns shawls from Stephen West, the MCAL 2022, which we started at the Woolpatch. Some of us were like, yes, we're going to do it. And I soon dropped out after clue 1, repeating that 20 odd rows. But Jill kept going and going and going, and blew me away. She finished that and she said, I've learned so much, and she enjoyed it. So it was lovely to see that at the end there. But some amazing makes there, and so many of you rightly in the chat saying how fabulous. And at home, I know what you're doing. You go, oh, that's good. Oh, that's a lovely jumper. So please do, when you finish your makes, just tag us in, because it would be lovely to share them. And then Fizz puts the links in the show. So if there was like the Dustland sweater from Glasgow Yarns, if you want to see do the one that Reese had made, then you just click on the link and it'll take you to Ravelry. Now, speaking of Ravelry, to try and make it easier to inspire people, I thought, why don't we do a fun little chart? A weekly chart of what is the top 10 patterns on Ravelry. I thought I would try it at first, when I was planning it over November and December, I thought I would try it by most popular. But over the 3 or 4 weeks of November, most popular never changed. It was literally number 1 was number 1 for about 3 weeks, and the same for 2, 3. And I think the mystery knit along was there for most of it. So I thought, well, we can't have that because that will be boring to watch. So I then tried the filter in Ravelry of Hot Right Now. And their sort of algorithm based for Hot Right Now is the most viewed of the day sort of thing. The most views, the most eyes. So it's actually a really good one. It's current. Now, it's so current that actually it may change within half a day. I found some days it doesn't change much, and then other days it's almost changed 2 or 3 times. But the point is, it's inspiring. And what might be nice to do, because we're now on week 3, I've already released 2 weeks, we start at the beginning of January, is that when we do a live, we'll do the show and we'll do the charts live too. So you can see, I literally made it just before we went on live tonight. So you can see what it is. And you might see something there and go, do you know what? I want to knit that, or I want to crochet that. We've got the knitting charts and we've got the crochet charts. And what might be interesting is over the coming weeks is to see if some go back into the top 10. So it's really what is current now. What are people looking at? And is there a trend? Is there something that's really current at the moment? And you think, oh, I might join in with that. Or will we see designers, the same designers reappearing, but with different patterns? Who knows? But you ready? So here we go. We're going to go knitting first, and then we're going to go into crochet. Here is the top 10 most hot right now patterns for knitting. Okay, Fizz is brilliantly putting the links into those 10 patterns. I'm just going to talk for a 5 or 6 seconds just to allow the lag to catch up so she can put in those links, because if it goes straight into crochet, she'll be like there. It'll be link overload. So we'll just give a little bit of a breather for her. Good old PF, producer Fizz. Anything you saw there? Interesting to see that there was another designer that was in there last week, but with a different pattern. Petite Knit. Have you knitted anything from Petite Knit before? Okay, right. Ready for crochet? Because I know there's many crocheters out there. Gordon, if you're watching, crochet genius. Anyone in the audience? Go on, type in the comments if you're a crocheter. I know there are some people from the Woolpatch, my knit and nat a lot, who are big crocheters. Sue Thursday, Curly Sue, big crocheters, and I know many more. I hope you're watching. You sat down watching, Sue? Hope so. Here we go then. Let's go into the crochet top 10. Whew, don't know about you, but exhausted now. So there we are, the top 10 current hot right now knitting and crochet. We're doing it every week. Sunday gets published. So if you are looking for a pattern and you can't fathom out Ravelry, I hear this with a lot of customers. They just find it difficult. Ravelry is a phenomenal resource, a free resource, a free knitting and crochet database. It's massive. All the commercial companies are on there, but more importantly, the individual designers are all on there. So you can often go direct to the designer and buy your patterns through them. So they get perhaps more of the money than if they would have done if it was through a commercial company. And there are patterns going back years and years and years. You get old-fashioned patterns on there, but you get new current patterns. The beauty of Ravelry is, even though it looks a bit sort of 1995-ish and a bit clunky, it has a wonderful refine feature on the left-hand side. I won't go through it now. It almost needs a live to itself, that. But you can refine. You can refine to free or purchased. You can refine to the weight of yarn. And you can, more importantly, refine for knitting and crochet. So that is exactly what I did. I refined for the knitting charts, just clicked on knitting, and it was only showing me knitting. So it is a wonderful resource, but you can then spend hours looking and looking and looking. And I know Ravelry is not for everyone. And of course, there are different levels of access to technology. So I thought, well, why not do it for you? So over the next 52 weeks on a Sunday, and obviously you can access it anytime with the beauty of YouTube, you can just see what's current right now. What are people looking at? What are in the charts? And you never know, you might find something you want to do. Now, we ended with crochet because I wanted to talk to you about this. Crochet, and we can just chill it down a bit. I know we always pride ourselves on having an hour show, but it might go over if you decide to go off somewhere because an hour is just what you're investing in. Absolutely understand that. You've got other things to do, dishwasher to put on and other things. But if you're like, no, my Sunday evening, I don't mind it going on a bit longer. This is great. An hour and 15 minutes of the Woolpatch, then I really appreciate it. Do you know, I appreciate you investing the time anyway. I'm looking at the stats here. 25 of you are watching live, giving a wave to you, whether that's you watching at home on the settee or whether that's you in the comments with your laptop on the other side of the world in your lunch break because of the different time. Whatever, I fully appreciate you investing your time. So let's just have a quick look at the comments for the people who are chatting away, because I did say about crochet and if you're a crocheter. There we go. Let's just move that down there and let's shrink it a little bit. I like to crochet small embellishments. Yeah, there's something about that, isn't there, of being able to finish it quite quickly too because they're small. Or did you mean small as in like lace weight? That's small and huge. Full respect to you for that. James, about the charts. What does he say there? This brings back memories of a tape recorder radio and getting... Yes, well, you know me, and I think many people who have been watching my channel since the start, I am a kind of a DJ, a wannabe DJ. If I could have got work experience, which I kind of nearly did at a radio station, I would have loved it. As a kid growing up, I used to have my tape recorder and I would do my own DJ program with my teddy bears. I think I've told you this before. It was called Radio Teddington. Too clever. Right, who else? Let's talk about crochet. Joy, you crochet, fabulous. What else with crochet is? Who else have we got in the house crocheting? I'm just having a flick through. The reason why I wanted to focus on it is because crochet can often get overlooked. And yes, we all know that. Some people think, oh, what are you doing? You're knitting? No, crochet. So I do want to keep trying to push crochet here on this channel as well. And partly because I'm a crocheter too. And I've been doing it more. And the reason is because I've started this. Now let's just do my push this button. There we go. So this is my leftover yarn from the MCal, because I was using lavender and blue, and I have put it to good use, and I'm doing this wonderful shawl. And let's find, where is it? It should be here, and it should be there. Look, that's it. Isn't it wonderful? Absolutely fabulous. And I saw that, and I saw it because I was watching another YouTuber. I was watching Zach Stout, and he's a huge crocheter. He still does the odd bit of YouTube. He's come back recently, but not as often as he used to be. If you want to go and check him out, just put in Zach Stout in YouTube. And he's done some of the shawls before and inspired me when I saw this one. And it's just wonderful. And it starts, so let's go back, push this button. So it starts at the end, and you're just doing the V-stitch. And the V-stitch is so easy if you're a crocheter and knows, because it's 2 trebles. Where can I show you? 2 trebles. There. See that? Treble with a chain in between. So you've got treble, chain, treble. And then you just do another one. Treble, chain, treble. So it's a really easy stitch to do. And I know many people panic about crochet with getting straight lines too. Well, this is really easy because it's got 1 straight line and 1 increase line. All your increases are happening on the diagonal. And the beauty of this pattern so far, if I go back to that tree one, so we're starting at that dark green and we're going upwards. So I'm nearly at the end of that big green part. And let's go back to there. The beauty of the increase is, so to get it wider, you're just doing an extra treble. So it's like a fan. So it's 3. So you should be able to see the 3. Can you see it there? 1, 2, 3. So it's a V-stitch. So treble, chain 1, treble, chain 1, treble. And that is your increase. And that just gives enough for it to come out a bit. And then you do another row and you should be able to see the fans reappearing, especially as it then increases quite heavily up here towards the end of that big green bit. You'll see there's a trio, 1, 2, 3. There's a trio, 1, 2, 3. And I've been experimenting. I wanted to change colour, so I messed around with the colours just to fade it into that blue, and then I am now ready to go on to the next section. So if I go back to that picture, so I'm now about to start those trees. So 2 colours going at once. So it's going to be lovely. And I have very much enjoyed over Christmas sitting there doing that. And there is something lovely about crochet. And same with knitting if you're doing stocking stitch, but when you're just doing that trebles, that's all I'm doing. It is kind of mindless, so you can get lost in that rhythm of crochet, and you've only got, you know, this 1 hook to use, maybe less to battle with. But there are times when I'm like, oh, I do fancy some knitting. So I kind of cross from crochet to knitting. Let us know in the comments if that's you. Are you a crocheter only, but you have multiple crochet projects to switch from? Because there are some times where you just think, oh, I want to do this pattern, this crochet pattern, but then there are some nights where that's too difficult. I want a mindless, just straight lines. And I think that's the same with knitting. You can have a stocking stitch pattern one night, and then another night you feel, do you know what, I'm going to concentrate, there's nothing on telly, I'm going to do some Fair Isle, and you might have a second project. So let us know in the comments if that was you. But to finish off, I would just like to talk to you about this upcoming crochet. So it's a little bit of shop talk, so it might be of interest if you're a crocheter and you want a new project. It's kind of linked in with buying a product too, but also it just might be something of interest anyway. It is our crochet along. So if I just do this and bring up this picture, you hopefully will look at it and go, oh, like I did. Look at that. So this is the crochet along. And it is a delightful little blanket, mostly made up of granny squares. But on those granny squares, there's just some delightful little designs. Look at that. And they are embellished on top or within. So if you look at that snail there, that's obviously integrated within. It's just, yeah, beautiful. Oh, look at that dear little thing. And this is in conjunction with Katia This is a company that I stock. I've had their yarns in my shop since I've started. They do some wonderful double knits. They do some wonderful 4-ply. And they have just started this new cotton. We talked about it in our Christmas show when we were looking at the cotton, the United Cotton. And this is what it's done with. It's all double knit. You're going to have a 4mm hook. But the beauty of this is it's just this crochet along. So it's going to start in March and we're just going to do however many a week. But because it's in conjunction with Katia, that they're doing it on a Facebook group. You can join if you want to. You don't have to. You can do it with me and I'll give you the pattern. And they release the pattern each week. So you might do 5 or 6 squares one week, then you might do another 5 or 6 squares another week and so forth. But it's just a delightful project. So I'm going to be doing it and hopefully showing you here with our show. And if you are doing it, then you can do it along with the show and we can share it. But if not, it's just something that is new to the shop and I'm really excited about because it's nice to see commercial companies doing more with crochet. And Katia, if you are into crochet and also like commercial companies, go to katia.com. You will find loads of crochet patterns. They are certainly doing more. Rowan, they like to say that their magazine that they do in the spring and in the autumn, they call it the Knitting and Crochet magazine, still only tends to be 2 or 3 patterns out of, say, 50 odd. So not as good. And some commercial companies are better than others. Obviously, the best place to go for crochet patterns is Ravelry. You can find those independent designers, those designers from across the world, all on Ravelry. And some of them, well, from what I've seen, are phenomenal. They're doing wonderful stuff with crochet. They're doing, proper garments, which I never even thought of because, let's be honest, crochet is more than just granny squares. Even though there we are looking at that and just seeing it. But it is just a darling, and it fits in with my shop's sort of USP. I kind of focus towards kids. The fabrics. A lot of the customers are making quilts for younger children or new grandchildren on the way, and the same with wools. They're making garments, little cardigans for newborns, as you saw in the gallery there. Pam Tuesday, although she's now Wednesday because she's moved to Wednesday, is making little garments for grandchildren or great grandchildren for Pam. So it kind of fits in with that. So if that's something you want to invest in, Fizz will have put the links into the chat there and you can have a look at that. Well, there we are. Well, that's not bad. It's only like 10 minutes over, isn't it? Just to finish off, let's just have a look at the chat to see what you've all been working on, because we normally finish off the show with what you're doing. So what are you doing right now? We talked about those New Year goals. Come on, put them in the chat, those New Year goals. What do you want to achieve this year? What do you want to make this year? Ting, can you remember Ting? He's often in the shop and he's often on my shows if we do the Strictly shows. I said to Ting, what's your New Year's goal or your New Year's resolution? And he said, to have more fun. And you know what? Why not? Why not? But if there's something specific, let us know in the comments about what your New Year's goal are. Because we're in middle of January now. What things do you want to achieve? Joy says, I'm working on a shawl and a snood and a blanket. There you go, you see? So it's multiple projects. I don't know how many people do just maybe one and spend time on one. I think quite a few people sort of jump between projects. Any other New Year's resolutions, goals? Yeah, resolutions is a funny old term, isn't it? Because it's that idea of breaking, whereas a goal you could work towards. Oh, look at that. Practical stitches. Scrappy quilt to finish. Oh, good. So there we are. Look, we're saying this now live with everyone. So when you finish that, we want a picture for the gallery. What does James say? Oh, are you? Oh no. See, I've not used that yarn before. Is what is it? Is it biting too much? So if you have you ripped it back and it's like in, or it's just the how it's coming off the ball? What does PF say? More nature, less for. Oh, good. Getting out. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, let's have a look. Margaret, New Year Gold, 2 adult jumpers. Do you know the patterns, Margaret? Good luck with doing it. Uh, Top down, classic, old school, seamed up, flat. To get some UFOs completed. Good, brilliant. And then hashtag them, or if not, if you're not on Instagram, not everyone is technology minded or even wants to do it. So then send us an email. Lois, you're knitting a simple sock right now. Great. Well, do you want to see my sock? Not very far. I thought I'm going to do this with a good 9-inch. Can I turn that around? Is it going to focus on there? Oh, no. But there we go. A Zauber ball. And I haven't got much further. So good luck, Lois. Brilliant. Valerie, 14? Well, there we are. This is the year. Let's go for half. This is the year to get 7 done? Or are you going to go for all 14? Right? It's written down now. When we come back, Fizz, you know how good Fizz is with producing. She's writing all this down. So when we come back in August, we'll have an update. Like, teacher, right, Valerie, where are you with your 14 whips? Rosemary, let's see what Rosemary's doing. I'm making a Victorian lattice square crochet blanket. Fabulous. Wonderful. Is it, you say Victorian, is it because of the style, or is it because of the like the old fashioned, a pattern, a Victorian pattern? Oh, so many lovely things. Let's do a couple more. In the middle of a fibre shed challenge, spinning the yarn and going to knit a Fair Isle cardigan. Wow. There are so many wonderful things in there. Right, so you definitely got to get that done. A fibre shed challenge. I might have to have a look at that. Have you got the Rowan booklet for the... I've got it at the shop, so you can click on it. There are 4 left, so it's been going quite quickly. Oh, let's just do one more. Judith. Oh, my computer can't even fit it all in. Wow. I'm knitting Anthropology by Helen Stewart. I'm casting on 12 projects for 2023 to learn new techniques and also to learn, oh, wonderful, to learn crochet that looks like knitting rib. Oh, yes. That will be doing through the back post or through the front post. Love that technique. Oh, Lois done a few more rows than me. Well, there we are. Wonderful. I think that's all about it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying and watching. Hope you enjoyed it. As I say, this vlog is all about me in my shop and how we develop with products, how we use them, and then communicating with you, the audience. Your time that you invest in watching helps. All the algorithm helps to push out, and then good old Google, YouTube then gives a bit of income to the shop to pay those bills. It is really much appreciated. Anything that you do watching wise, the views all mount up. When those ads come up, it all helps to income. You know how hard it is for retail. We're finding different ways to diversify. And what I found with retail is the most important thing that you can give customers is experience. So if you can't come into my shop to buy something to help the shop and to help you, you can do it by watching YouTube. And that very act of watching and joining in means that the income comes from YouTube. So that can help pay some bills. And don't we know how tight it all is at the moment, and we know how bills are going up. So if it helps to pay the heating bill, then brilliant. That will get us through the winter season. So thank you very much for investing in some time this Sunday evening. We're going to go and put the kettle on now, put our feet up, enjoy the rest of your knitting, your crocheting. If you're ironing and doing your patchwork or your dressmaking, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks everyone, and see you soon. Bye bye.